What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for AEW on TNT review for September the 30th, 2020. We have made it to the end of September. Can you believe it? Next week is going to be AEW celebrating 30 years of Chris Jericho. And then the week after that is going to be the 1-year anniversary show for AEW on TNT. As long as the NBA playoffs doesn't get involved, which of course it won't, or anything else when it comes to baseball or any other performance. But tonight's show was again another decent show. Good show, decent show, awesome show, whatever you want to go with. AEW firing on all cylinders as we head towards Full Gear. Now, unfortunately, because of the anniversary show going on in 2 weeks, it feels like they're building towards that and leaving Full Gear on the back burner until then, which I guess is fine. And, of course, there'll be about 3-4 weeks before we get the Full Gear after the anniversary show. I guess that's fine. They can build from there. But we start the show off with Ricky Starks versus Darby Allin. We have also the Young Bucks getting up to more hijinks and piss-offery, as well as FTR versus SCU. For the World Tag Team Championships, I'll have some words on that. Let's see here. We also have Chris Jericho with Santana Ortiz, Jake Hager, and Sammy Guevara versus Isaiah Cassidy with Matt Hardy and Mark Quinn. And also Orange Cassidy versus 10. Get my words on that here in a bit. MJF in a backstage promo with Chris Jericho. Britt Baker versus Red Velvet. And you know how that went. Update of what's going to happen next week, and then Jon Moxley will take on one half of the Butcher and the Blade after what happened last week. So we start the show off with Ricky Starks. This feud has been going on for a couple months now. Ricky Starks got in the middle of Brian Cage and Darby Allin's business, joined Team Taz as they wanted to call themselves, which I think actually Excalibur called them that. And it's been leading up to this match tonight between these two. Now, a lot of people have been looking forward to this match since Ricky Starks was signed. I know I'm one of them. This was not disappointing whatsoever. So, Taz, of course, is going to join commentary because it's one of his boys. Of course, he's going to join commentary to cheer his boys on. He's off looking for an interview. Tony Schiavone is off looking for an interview, which we'll get to later. Which I'm glad that they took somebody off of commentary because we really don't need four people on commentary. 3 is bad enough. Having me have to sit there through 4 people on commentary at the same time is just a little much. So I'm glad they got rid of that. They said, you know what, Tony, we're going to send you to the back to do something with people in the back. So I'll give them that one. So we had this match here. It's a really good match. So, yeah. Darby Allin, Ricky Starks. Really good match. Everyone praising it online. Crazy spear halfway through the match by Ricky Starks. Before that, Darby Allin actually does a suplex on the apron, which, by the way, is the hardest part of the ring. I forgot if you haven't known that yet. So, these two are having a fantastic match. Stark reaches out and Allin yanks back the arm as well. Stark claws his way over to finally get the ropes. Allin with a bunch of shots over the top rope stunner. Slingshot off the top rope, and Stark catches him with a spear, as I said. Goes for a pin, but Allin kicks out. Beautiful. I do like like one of the lost arts, and one of the things that is getting, I shouldn't say lost arts, but one of those most overused things in wrestling today is the kick out to a finisher. Or a kick out to anything. It's just getting way too overdone and way too overused. So seeing it get kicked out at the right time, a la here, it brings it back to where it needs to be. So I will give AEW props on that one. But Allen's able to counter a top turn as they're on the top turnbuckle. And some boots on Stark, and boots Stark off. Allin with a coffin drop to Starks for the 1, 2, 3. It sucks to see somebody lose, but hey, when it's a hell of a match like that, then it's like, who's the real losers in that encounter? It's not the fans, and it's not either one of these two. when you sit there and you see somebody like a Road Dogg or anyone else say, it like wins and losses don't matter. This is what they usually mean, because when you're winning and when you lose in a hard-fought match or a good match like this, then the losses really do not matter because you're getting over anyway. Where wins and losses matter, though, is like if you have somebody who is a jobber, who has been a jobber for so long and only looks like a jobber, not winning matches over and over and over again, and just, getting beat down like a Jinder Mahal, getting beat up like a Jinder Mahal at one time was, and then just, boom, in a WWE Championship match, that's when it should matter. AEW has themselves, and we'll talk about that here in a minute because I have some words on that again. They have a ranking system. Sometimes I think they forget that they have a ranking system because of the way they treat their champions. It is absolutely ridiculous how they do this shit. It's just absolutely ridiculous, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. Cody heads out to the ring to talk with Dasha. She asks about his injury and how he's feeling. Cody says his trainer, Al Snow, says you always wrestle hurt, but you never wrestle injured. That is the damn truth. Wrestlers are always wrestling hurt, but you never want to wrestle injured. I mean, it's the same thing with football players and stuff. You play hurt all the time. No matter what, you're going to play hurt. It's just the nature of the beast. But are you going to play injured? Possibly. Are you going to play injured? Possibly for some of those guys. But for professional wrestlers, you don't want to be injured going into a big match, especially if you're going up against a high profile match or something, or you want to let your opponent know that you're injured, because then that's just going to leave you wide open for anything that they want to do to you, and it's going to look bad in the end. So yeah, that's exactly true. Crazy to hear an Al Snow reference in AEW. So does that mean Al Snow to AEW confirmed? I wonder. Then he brings out how he was on that marquee. Oh, hold on, let me see. Wrestlers always shook hands before because it was a sign of respect, especially for those on the marquee. He brings up how he was on that marquee, but then he lost in 3 minutes. Shortly after, he gets a call from Hollywood and sits next to some big names in a new show. He wonders, who am I? Am I just a guy who lost in 3 minutes? Says while he's been gone he listened to what's been going on. The only people who can call themselves the ace of the company, likely referring to Kenny Omega, of course, or Hikaru Shida, Jon Moxley or Brodie Lee. Hikaru Shida, Jon Moxley, or Brodie Lee. Dasha then asks if Cody accepts Lee's challenge to a dog collar match. He says, as match as brutal as that is one of the EVPs of the company, his answer is no. He heads up the stage, stops, then comes back and says, no, as in no regrets, no, as in no going back, no. So next week, dog collar match, he accepts. Boom. Next week, 30th anniversary of Chris Jericho is going to be one of the biggest shows of the year for them, for sure. 30 years of Chris Jericho, dog collar match, holy shit. JR did mention how this is going to be the main event next week. It should be the main event next week. Now, the next part I'm not a big fan of. Cody says, I accept. Okay. Why are you going to have the Dark Order? I know why they wanted to, but why is the Dark Order coming out? Why is Brodie Lee coming out? Save it for next week. How hard is that? Save it for next week. But no, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that at all. Why would you save it for next week instead of just doing it this week? Cody and no, it shouldn't have happened this week whatsoever. But it did. They had him come out. Those two brawled for a bit. Then a bunch of guys come out. Brandy comes out to the ring and she's a big senton on the bunch of Dark Order members. Anna Jay comes out. They fight for a minute. The women's are separated though by other women. Nyla Rose jumps the barricade and beats up Kylie King for some reason. Lee heads to the back for a moment, but runs back and for more fighting happens. It should have been like, I accept, drops the mic, music plays, we go to commercial break. That would have been great. I think they rely too heavily on the brawl when it isn't necessary. This is like a WWE trope that I don't want to see in AEW. No reason to have a multi-man brawl or have a brawl between two guys try to be broke up by other people. This isn't the first time they've done it. It ain't going to be the last time they do it, but it's something I think is just lazy booking. So we go backstage, and Tony was with FTR and Tully Blanchard. He brings up how the champions were supposed to wrestle best friends, but that didn't work out. Willis says best friends were participation trophy guys. They were beat up the week before, so they weren't ready for us. And says best friends they just don't deserve a match with them. SCU, on the other hand, is a whole different bag. Like you said, they are the first ever AEW Tag Team Champions. If we want to cement our legacy, we need to beat SCU. He's asked about the Young Bucks and the match with them. Hardwood brings up how Matt and Nick have had their shots. How about that first match in the Tag Team Tournament last year? They blew it. The match against Kenny Omega and Hangman, they blew it. Even in the Gauntlet match where we won to go to All Out, they blew it. So, other than maybe Dave Meltzer giving them 5 stars every time, they don't deserve a title match. He brings up about Full Gear and the opponents he hopes to see, and the next thing you know, you see 2 feet come in, super kick to Tony Schiavone, and I think it was Matt. It was one of the Young Bucks coming in. It's like, oh man, did we interrupt something? And they exit. He's like, hey man, hey, and Dax and Cash are like, hey, we were over here. Why didn't you kick us, huh? You beat up on the big guy. Why didn't you beat on us? I see. So I don't know when we're gonna see the Young Bucks and FTR, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen when FTR has a lengthy title reign. It's not going to happen this year at all. Full Gear is going to be somebody else. Anybody thinking that FTR is losing those tag team titles before they have their feud start, the feud starts with Young Bucks, you out of your mind. That is definitely going to be one hell of a feud, and it's just something they're building to slowly. It's going to be brought up every single time. Young Bucks don't want to hear about it. FTR says they don't deserve shit because, honestly, they don't deserve shit. And we'll have to see what happens. Backstage, Dasha's with SCU, Scorpio Sky, and Frank Kazarian about tonight's title match. Kazarian says they are going to become champs for the second time. Guaranteed. Spears is standing off to the side as they head to the ring, and sarcastically says, good luck. I don't know what's going on with Shawn Spears and Scorpio Sky. He was on AEW Dark last night during SCU's match. So I don't know where we're going with this, but it is going to be something that we need to look forward to. Now, I wonder why Scorpio Sky is all of a sudden just back in a tag team. What happened to this guy's going to be the singles member of the SCU faction, and the other two are going to be the tag team. Like, seriously, what happened to that? That was a big thing for SCU and for Scorpio Sky. They were going to give him a singles push. Did AEW get cold feet? Did AEW say, you know what? No, we're gonna go back to you being a singles a tag team wrestler? I don't have a clue. I don't have the answer to that. All I know is that SCU, I guess, is back to being in a tag team. I guess Scorpio Sky's back to being in a tag team. Hey, it is what it is. What can you do? So, we have this match, and I don't know why it's a title match. Now, I can understand them saying, yeah, well, we need to beat these two because they are the original tag team champions, and we want to cement our legacy. But it makes no lick of sense why they are getting a title shot. What have Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky done as a tag team since losing those tag team title belts? Nothing. Why should they be getting a tag team title match? Why are they going up against the tag team champions? It just makes no sense to me. AEW has a ranking system. They want to emphasize the ranking system. Top 5. You need to be number 1 on this to get a title match. But SCU is not ranked right now. So why are they getting a title match? This, in my opinion, this is just a slap in the face to anybody who wants to see this ranking system mean something. Because even to AEW, it doesn't mean shit. That's just like a couple weeks ago. A couple months ago when Kenny Omega and Hangman Page was defending the titles against everybody in the top 5 except for the number 1 contenders, because the number 1 contenders had a tag team title match for one of the special AEW shows. I think it was Fyter Fest night 1 or 2, whichever night it was. I think it was night 1 and night 2 because of the Jon Moxley thing. But it's like, what's the point of the ranking system? What's the point of having a number 1 contender if you're not even going to give if that number 1 contender isn't going to be the one getting the next title shot? By the way, again, why are we getting this match? I don't know. Hangman Page is on commentary for this match, which for some reason only has a 20-minute time limit instead of a 60-minute time limit, even though they've been saying it was a title match. Jim Ross brings out Kenny Omega is focusing on the singles career and wonders if that's what Page is doing too. Page says he still has a vested interest in the tag team division, doesn't think Omega is serious about going back to singles competition. Has he even had a match yet? And then we go into the match. Nice match here. These two teams were working well together. Kazarian makes his way to the corner towards the end of the match. Sky tags in, kicks Howard in the face, pin 2. FTR looks to finish things off. Frankie is fighting both guys off. Kazarian and Wheeler on the second rope. Hardwood trying to get involved and ended up getting power slammed down into the mat for a 2 count. Sky tags in, crossbody off the top rope, double roll through. More pin attempts in all are 2 counts. Blanchard holds Wheeler's arm as Sky tries for another pin. Only a 2. Sky with a suplex on Wheeler. He rolls to the apron. Sky tries for another one. Tully sweeps his legs and Wheeler falls down on him. Tully and Dax help hold Sky's foot down in the 3 count hits. FTR are your winners. Commentary announces there's going to be an 8-man elimination tournament with the finals at Full Gear. Winner will get a shot at the World Championship. 3 names were announced: Jungle Boy, Rey Fenix, and Kenny Omega. Here's the thing about this. Cody already has stated and is never going to go for the world title. It should be 4 men in the top 5. Brian Cage, Brodie Lee, MJF, and I believe the Murder Hawk Monster's in there too. Then in KLC you can have Jungle Boy, Kenny Omega, and Rey Fenix. If you're going to do a ranking system, you're going to do this tournament thing to see who's going to be your next number 1 contender. The top 5 people in that, or the top 4, because Cody says, I can't vie for the title, which is still the dumbest fucking thing ever. But the top 5 should be the 4 men in the number 1 in the top 5 rankings and Brodie Lee. Then you would have, of course, Rey Fenix, Kenny Omega, and Jungle Boy if you want to add them. Who else is going to be in the 8-man tournament? We'll find out probably soon. I don't know what they're going to do with that. We'll talk about that in a minute. Chris Jericho versus Isaiah Cassidy. This is just what Chris Jericho does best. Chris Jericho goes out there. He sells for these young up-and-comers, these young guys. He did it with Darby Allin. He did it with Jungle Boy. He was going to do it for MJF when him and MJF finally have a singles match, which is going to happen. They're teasing that. I don't know if it's going to happen at Full Gear, or if it's going to happen, I don't know. I just have a feeling that next week during that anniversary show, they're going to set something up between him and MJF. Again, will it happen at Full Gear? I don't know. That is the fun thing about this. I don't know. But it should be a lot of fun. And then we'll have some things to talk about then. So, again, match here was good. Again, I like Jericho. One of the best things that Jericho is going to be doing in this company after losing the world title is helping get other guys over. He did it with Darby Allin. He did it with Jungle Boy. He did it tonight with Isaiah Cassidy. He did it with Orange Cassidy. Just so weird to say Isaiah and Orange Cassidy and the spell totally different. Most of the time outside of Orange Cassidy, which he won twice, Jericho ends up, of course, winning, but the guy he went up against actually comes out looking better on the other side. Jericho takes Cassidy down and remains in control. Jericho tries for a running bulldog and goes hard in the corner. Cassidy with a flurry of clotheslines. Enziguri ends up on the apron. Cassidy with a springboard over the top stunner. Cover 2. Cassidy is able to hit yet another stunner. Cover to close 3 count. Jericho tries for the lion salt. Knees up. Cassidy on one of his own. Cover 2. Cassidy hits Codebreaker out of nowhere. 2 count. Cassidy heads to the apron, springboard, and gets caught into the Juice Effect. Perfect. One of the good things about the Juice Effect, even though it's just a back elbow, is just like the RKO, it can be hit out of nowhere. That's going to be what sells that move, is it can be hit literally out of nowhere. Picks up the win for Jericho, 1, 2, 3, and that is that. Jericho does it again and makes this guy look good coming out of this match. Cody does it too, as well, with some of these guys that he went into the ring with when it came to the TNT Championship that he had. So many guys came out of that looking so much better. It ain't even funny. So, yes. Jericho with the win. Not a surprise there. It was going to always be that way. But, again, Orange Cassidy looks good afterwards. Like, coming out of it. Not Orange Cassidy, I'm sorry, Isaiah Cassidy. The question is, with the fact that you have Private Party, do you really want to make them look good in singles action? Because that's going to lead people to speculate. Are they going to break these guys up? That's a WWE thing. WWE loves breaking up their tag teams. Nobody's going to want to see this tag team break up whatsoever. So the biggest question I'm going to have is that going to be what's going to happen? Will these two guys break up? I mean, they have the Matt Hardy thing going on right now. He's playing the Michael Hayes role. And maybe they turn on Matt Hardy. Maybe they turn heel. I don't know. There's a lot of questions for Private Party, because they are a young team and they have a major future ahead of them. If everything goes right for them in the next 5 so years, they could be one of the most decorated tag teams for the newest generation of wrestlers. Just saying. Kip Sabian talks to Miro about wanting an epic bachelor party. Miro talks with someone about wanting to make it the best party ever. They play a bunch of games. Sabian steps out. Video game record holder Billy Mitchell steps in. A.K.A. the guy who cheated for his record holders and then bitched because he got caught. Just saying. And they play games. Mitchell says he knows some people that could help throw a wild party. I'm not going to get into the Billy Mitchell thing. If you want to, there's many videos online of that guy being the biggest scumbag in the video game world. Guy gets caught cheating and cries about it when he gets his records taken away just to get his records back. That's all I'm going to say about that. Backstage talks with Dasha talks with best friends of Orange Cassidy about where they are mentally and how things went last week. FTR steps in and said they saved the best friends from having a match. Some teams up here are way up high on the card, like the champs, and there's nothing wrong with being comedic mid-carders. They go walk away, and the best friends act like they are going to fight. FTR covers for a moment. Cassidy takes the mic and says, "Weenies." Now, here's another thing. Why did SCU get a tag team title match when the best friends, no matter what you want to say, are the number one contenders by the ranking system? Again, I don't understand. I don't understand how, from the time AEW was first talked about to the time we got started on TV, they talked about how important the win-loss records are gonna fucking matter. The top 5 is going to mean something. So why? I don't care if somebody's a former champion. Chris Jericho could go on a 20 match losing streak, drop out of the top. He's out of the top 5, but drop so far down in the back of the line. That doesn't mean he gets a world title shot at Revolution next year, whatever the pay-per-view is going to be next year, if it's still Revolution. There's no motherfucking reason that a team who's not even been teaming for the last 4 or 5 or 6 months because of COVID, and then they decided that Scorpio Sky was going to be in the singles division, while the other two were going to be in the tag team, all of a sudden to bring them back to being Kazarian and Scorpio Sky as a tag team to give them a title shot. Doesn't work for me, no. If you're going to go out there and make this ranking system in the top 5 matter, then don't give an unranked team a title shot. It just doesn't work for me. Sorry. Orange Cassidy versus 10 with John Silver and Colt Cabana. This match didn't go very long. DDT, Cassidy with the kip up. Orange Punch, 1, 2, 3. Orange Punch, Beach Break, and the 1, 2, 3. He beats 10 in maybe 2 minutes. Maybe. Backstage, MJF heads to Chris Jericho's locker room with Wardlow. Jericho is a bit surprised. MJF walked in as he's partying with the rest of the Inner Circle. MJF has some gifts for Jericho and the rest of the group. MJF has Inner Circle jackets for each guy except for Sammy. MJF asks Warford what's the deal. He knows he he got one for Sammy. He apologizes to Sammy, and Sammy wonders what's going on, what's he doing here. Jericho says he asked MJF a long time ago if he wanted to be in the Inner Circle, which of course MJF previously noted he's looking to join a stable in AEW. He laughs and says he asked Jericho a long time ago if he wants him in the group. They bicker a bit on the point. Hager and Wardlow each step up alongside their guy. Jericho says everything is cool. MJF says it's amazing. Jericho has been wrestling for 30 years. It's been a legendary run. The two leave the room. Chammy goes to say, "What a loser." Jericho stops and says, "Perhaps he's not." Again, this has got to definitely be leading to a match between these two. It just makes all the sense in the world that you're going to have MJF and Jericho go up against each other. So that's something I'm looking forward to, no doubt about it. But, again, will it happen at Full Gear, or are they going to hold this off until Revolution? Or is it going to be if they do Bash at the Beach next year, which I don't know if they're going to do that, even though if they're still, for whatever reason, stuck in Daly's place, that would be a little bit more sense for a Bash at the Beach than, where they were at last year for the first half. Britt Baker versus Red Velvet. Why did this have to happen? Baker wins in about a minute and a half. Who gives a shit? I know a lot of people complaining that AEW only had one women's match on the show tonight. Here's the thing. The women's division is nowhere near where AEW needs it to be for the women to be represented better. AEW has a lot to go on. They need to build the women up better and have more, Tay Conti being signed was good. They definitely need to do that. And they need to get more women who are actually great at what they do. And honestly, I'm just going to be honest, Britt Baker is not one of them. Can she be eventually? Maybe. But right now, she is not. Is it her fault? Absolutely not. It's just she hasn't had the time in the ring needed to be that big of a talent that they want her to be. Look at Sheeta. Sheeta's been wrestling for years. Tay Conti's been wrestling for about 3 years, but she's also had a run in NXT and time in the Performance Center. Britt Baker's been wrestling on independence and getting her time there, and I don't know how long she's actually been wrestling. Time will tell what happens with Britt Baker, but hopefully when this whole COVID scamdemic thing is done, AEW can do what their planned weekend matinees, where they can get women like Britt Baker and Tay Conti and Anna Jay and all those other women, and men too, who need time. You're only going to get better in the ring with time, and that is something that is hurting women, people like Britt Baker, who just don't have the time, the time allotted to be one of the best out there. We'll just have to see what happens. Now, next week, Chris Jericho's 30-year celebration, Jericho and Hager versus Chaos Project, which is, of course, Luther and Serpentico. Do we need to see it? This will be the way. This is the way to finally, put to bed anyone who's like, "Are you Sammy Guevara?" And just have Sammy Guevara out there with Jericho at the same time. Brian Cage with Taz versus Will Hobbs for the FTW World Championship. That should be one hell of a match. That right there. I want to see Brian Cage versus Lance Archer for the for the FTW Championship. I do. I want to see that at Full Gear. But before that, Will Hobbs versus him? Why? I'll take that 100%. Brodie Lee versus Cody Rhodes dog collar match, AEW TNT Championship. So that is going to be next week's show. That is great. Now, Eddie Kingston comes out to the ring as the referee. Penta L0M and May Phoenix Kingston talks about last week's title match that was put in the building and being put in the Bulldog choke, but didn't tap out. Kingston says Moxley was so bothered by the ending of the match, he wanted to fight anyone. Says he doesn't feel up for the rematch, so he'll be picking Moxley's opponent when he then asks Bryce, he gives him the balls to call the match like one last week. Bryce says he was unresponsive. What else was he going to do? It's like the group is going to beat up the referee, but Moxley comes out through the stands with his title and a barbed wire bat. He gets in the ring, clears everyone out. Kingston then says Moxley isn't fighting Phoenix or Penta. He's fighting the Butcher. The Butcher sneaks up from behind. Moxley tucks around and takes a big lariat. So the Butcher gets Moxley in the main event. And What did you expect from Moxley Mucha match? It was brutal. It was Moxley. It was the Butcher of Buffalo. It was one heck of a match. Moxley with the DDT goes right into the Bulldog choke, and he makes him tap out. Moxley wins by submission. Moxley celebrates as Kingston storms around the ringside and heads to the back for the show comes to a close. Obviously, Moxley and Kingston is not done by a long shot. Will we see a rematch between these two? I have no idea. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, but it's going to be interesting to see where AEW takes this from here. That is your AEW on TNT review. Another good match. Next week is going to be stacked with 2 title matches, even though I know the FTW title is not a sanctioned title. But the dog collar match. The greatest dog collar match in wrestling history was Roddy Piper versus Greg the Hammer Valentine from I think the 70s, the 70s or 80s. I haven't seen the full match. I've seen highlights. It is a bloody, violent, messy ass match. And it was brutal as hell. And will we see blood next week? Most likely. Will we see guts next week? Most likely. Will we see pain and agony on these men's faces? Most likely, yes. Is it going to be a damn good main event? You're damn straight. Will it be? It should be at least 30 minutes of the final hour of that show. 30 minutes, those two guys going at it, killing each other on TNT. And it could possibly be the best, second best, or the